not being in it. But we are live on Facebook and YouTube. I did. I need to go back on there and check and see what it's been doing. Here, it would probably help if I turned you up too.
So people can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because now I can hear myself.
You're not turned up like at all.
Nice. It's just an hour and a half of you talking to yourself?
Yep, pretty much. Let me see. See what I got.
Ooh.
I got you something light.
Killer.
So if you don't smoke the whole thing, don't feel bad. It's not anything like super fancy.
I have to remind myself it's not a cigarette.
That would definitely
I'll
help.
just whip through it.
Oh, I gotta.
If my mom's listening, I do not smoke cigarettes.
I've never smoked them, so for me, like the whole inhaling thing, like I've never had to worry about. It's not a reflex. Like we get that a lot at the shop where people are like, "Well, I'm a cigarette smoker. How do you like not inhale?" And I'm like, I don't know.
You've never had a cigarette?
No.
Wow.
I can't. Like, even just like smoking hookah, it took me a while to figure out how to like smoke, because I'm so used to just like puffing on cigars because that's all I do.
I feel like I'm gonna have to think about it more than I should.
Maybe. I don't know. But Nipper's here.
Hi. I have not had the pleasure of being introduced to him.
Nipper's awesome.
I've heard.
He's me and Phil's brother from another British mother. Sing.
Thank you.
Oh, and he called me a hoe, so that's nice.
I agree.
Sounds like him. I feel like the garage looks like a freaking wreck right now.
Looks better with me in it, though.
If you saw it, let me see. Does this even change anything? Is that louder?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like going crazy because I'm like, I have it turned up, but I can't hear myself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so there's a lighter. This is a lighter right there.
How does it work?
How does it work? So some people, like a lot of people, think that you just like throw it right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to toast it. It's called toasting.
Like a marshmallow.
You don't want
a
to
Girl Scout.
You don't want to burn the tobacco. Like you want to burn it, but you don't want to burn it. You very lightly and gingerly. Here, I'll turn it. See?
Yeah.
It's not touching the flame, but it's getting lit.
I thought you were about to stick that end in your mouth.
No, you like blow on it because you can tell. Like when you blow on it, you'll see black spots. That's spots that aren't fully lit.
Okay.
Just like the old crack pipe.
I have no comments on that. Okay, help me. How?
Well,
What if I just throw up live on the air?
That bag right there is your target.
That look good?
You can puff on it some.
Okay.
Just puff on it. Don't inhale it. Just.
I don't know how to do that. It's like a lollipop.
I guess. I don't know.
I have a coworker. He was trying to explain to me how to like smoke a cigar, and he told me that he just smokes it like a cigarette, and then it's just super painful.
God, it's so bad. Like, puff on it, and I'll keep lighting it. You're literally just.
I don't know how to do this.
You're just. I don't know how to.
Explain it to me.
I don't
This
know
is
how
like
to
me trying to
explain
help your daughter with math. Like it wasn't going well.
Because to me, it's like it's a nap. It's nothing. It's so easy to do.
I'll figure it out.
Dallas says, "Don't inhale and stay hydrated."
I have coffee. Does that count?
Yeah, counts for me.
Okay. Got a bang.
I do have one in the fridge. I'm about to go get.
I go get it. My family group chat's blowing up because my mom's sending pictures of bridges, and my older sister is a bridge engineer.
Mike Cuppin said, "I feel like I'm watching an adult giving kids drugs."
That's how I feel. Like I don't even know how to hold it. They don't teach you this.
I think the camera's getting all like foggy. A little bit. Uh-oh.
Just put it on me. That's what people want to see.
Uh-oh.
They don't care about Yeti, man.
You get to see my stomach. There we go. Is that better or is that worse? How was there fingerprints on it?
I don't.
Sorry, y'all.
This doesn't make any sense to me.
There we go. How's that? Perfect. Okay. Jeff says he's getting strong Joe Rogan vibes. I like it.
From me?
Just the camera and the thing.
Nice.
Which actually, I mean, I think we could possibly do this. I don't know. I've always wanted to do THP Live, but it's tough because my computer can only do so much. And so handling the camera while processing the audio on GarageBand and stuff like that. But we'll see this because I'm going to pull the audio from this when we're done and then upload it and see how it turns out. It shouldn't be any different than how we're doing it. But
I literally
sure.
Yeah.
Just
sounds
say absolutely.
excellent. Should I keep talking while you walk away?
Matter.
Hi. I wish we could bring your cat out here.
He would destroy everything.
Yeah, it's like a little menace. Your limbo underneath the
like
cord.
that?
Mm-hmm. What flavor do you have today?
A radical skedaddle.
You like that one? Where did I put
It's
this?
super good. You're supposed to puff on it, Dom.
I don't understand how this works.
Good Lord.
I just want to smoke it like a cigarette. Hypothetically, had I ever smoked a cigarette, Mom, which I haven't.
So you know how like you go to wine tastings, right? You don't actually drink the wine. You just kind of swirl it in your mouth and get the flavor.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Same
thing.
Okay. Just drink the cigar.
Yeah. You're supposed to be.
Okay. You're not my dad.
You just
stop
puff it.
yelling at me. I keep trying to breathe in.
Jeez.
I should act like I'm underwater trying to breathe.
Yeah. You just take a giant gulp underwater.
I'm okay with just holding it. I think it's a vibe.
This tastes just like Smarties. That's why I like it so much.
It's disgusting. Why do you just want to drink Smarties? Eat Smarties.
Just do both.
Okay.
Mike said, "Hell with that. I'm drinking wine. I'm drinking the wine."
What kind of wine are you drinking?
You're a big wine person. Kind of.
I've been to a lot of vineyards and like a lot of wineries where they've told me things about wine.
And you're like, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Legs. Love
Totally.
it. Just
Chardonnay, all that.
so many grapes.
Katie's big into wine.
I
I'll try to get
appreciate
into it.
wine, but I also love that Aldi has $3 wine.
We've gotten, we have Publix here. I don't know if you have Publix up north. It's like a grocery store.
Yeah, I know what Publix is. Because I used to vacation in Hilton Head,
that's right.
like the true Ohioan I am.
Publix has a gigantic wine corner here. And so they've got a million different kinds that you can pick from. So Katie's pretty good about picking some, and I'll try them. I've kind of gotten into them recently, but
yeah, she said she liked Pinots.
Yeah,
I don't like red wine because it gives me heartburn, like a 40-year-old woman. But white wines like Pinot Grigio is good. Chard.
My first experience with red wine was horrible. That's what it was I think first of all, it was from at the time I was living in like a less than stellar neighborhood, and my neighborhood or my next door neighbor was like a crackhead or a schizo or something. And it was my birthday, and he was like, "Yeah, man, I got some wine." I was like, "Okay, cool." Like I don't really drink wine,
How
but
old
sure.
were you? Because that makes a difference too. Were you like of legal drinking age?
Yeah. I was like 22, I think. At the time. It was a while ago, but it was like some Apothic Red, and I had some, and I don't think it was any good because I had like the worst heartburn for like a week.
Yeah, well,
I only drank a little bit, but I've had other red wine since, and I haven't had any problems.
It depends on the quality of the wine too.
But I think maybe he had opened that bottle and it's just been chilling somewhere at room temperature. Yeah, turned straight to vinegar, and you were just drinking it.
Like the pure torture that your body goes through when you drink bad alcohol.
Impure.
Yeah.
I feel like the camera should
not change where the camera
move
is.
Somewhere. We might have Phil joining us. We're kind of just waiting.
We're just hanging out, having a good time.
We are. Dom's pretending to smoke a cigar.
I am trying my best.
I'm actually smoking a cigar. For anybody wondering, it's Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust Sin Compromiso. It's delicious.
What is this?
That's a Brick House, Connecticut.
Thank you for it.
It's very good.
It tastes fine.
They're not stupid expensive. They're tasty. They got rated really high.
I think it's out of burn.
Which doesn't really matter. You got to relight it. That's a lighter too, though.
I don't know how to work this lighter.
It's just, this is a button. Just don't.
Why does it look like this?
Don't singe your face off.
Because it's a torch, not a lighter.
Correct.
This makes me super nervous.
I'm going to. Oh, there we go. Spazzed out for a second. Because I have GarageBand running so we can hear ourselves. Because if I take GarageBand out, we can't.
Oh God, how do I turn it off?
You just let go of the button. It takes some practice.
Yeah, this is definitely not natural to me.
It's completely natural.
To me. I said to me.
Bah. There's so many chords. But for anybody who doesn't know, this is Dominique Difalco.
Hello.
Our friendly neighborhood Ohioan.
Ohioan.
Oh, is that how it is?
Ohioan.
Ohioan.
No. I'm technically from Kentucky. I'm Kentuckian.
Yeah.
I'm from the Commonwealth.
From like where Cox is?
No, he's at the other end. I'm at the very tip. My parents don't admit we live in Kentucky.
Is he like in the middle of the state?
No.
Where is he?
Bottom.
Like bottom left? Or like...
I'm glad you said bottom left instead of southwest. Because I wouldn't have gone... Yeah, he's in the bottom left of Kentucky in Louisville. It's not Louisville, it's Louisville.
It's Louisville, I'm sorry.
It's all supposed to be like one syllable.
So that means it's supposed to be Louisville Slugger?
Yeah.
Not Louisville Slugger?
Well, that's like colloquially the term.
Whatever.
Sorry, should I not use big words?
I know what colloquial means. So Dom keeps green tree pythons and ball pythons, and you have like a king snake, right?
Yeah, I have a Ruthven's.
Just kind of random.
Yeah.
Just Ruthven's just hanging out.
Yeah. I mean, he's a good time, but I don't think I'm going to have him much longer.
Why? Did you find a home for him?
So he's from the rescue I work with, and he was supposed to be an education animal, but he hasn't done any educational shows, and he's not awesome at handling, so he doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. I miss Ruthven's, man. We used to have some. They used to be pretty easy to come across. They're not anymore for some reason. He was dropped off at a Petco randomly, and the rescue got called. Also, there's like an echo, and I can hear my voice. Let me see. Have you ever done a speech jammer? No. Do you know what that is? That's how I feel. Like I really have to think about my words. Let me see. Can I put this down while I'm... Yeah. See, I'm adjusting the... we can't like monitor ourselves. That's the problem.
Mm.
So
Do you think it's because we're live?
I think it's just the way StreamYard works.
Mm.
But what is stereo audio? What happened? Echo cancellation. Stereo audio, ain't it? I mean, echo cancellation we don't even have to worry about because we got headphones anyways.
We got hella echo.
I don't understand. You don't hear anything, right? I don't hear anything.
I don't hear anything. Phil is calling me.
Is he?
Are we still live?
Yeah, we are.
Nice.
Philip.
Hi. Hi, we're on
StreamYard.
We're on StreamYard, so can we send you a link? He says he can't be on his laptop because it's monsooning.
It's rainy. He can do it inside like a normal person.
You can do it inside like a normal person. I just don't want like mom and dad to fight. So Justin, do you want to talk to Phil?
No.
Okay, bye. He said send the link.
Of course he did. Let's see.
There's a notepad next to me that has a note on it, and I feel like I'm in on some THC.
Yeah, because we were
gossip.
going to talk about that on Snakes and
Does
Stogies
Jake
tomorrow
chew
night.
on this?
No, I peeled it.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Did you just apologize?
Let's see. What do you say?
It's my mom.
Oh.
So my mom, I'm in Beaufort just because I showed up. And my mom's here with me, but she's somewhere else in Beaufort.
She's probably downtown.
I think she's at a park somewhere.
There's a couple parks downtown.
Yeah, and she
She
I
at the
told her we're
waterfront?
gonna trim the magnolia tree for her, and she said no need.
Oh, that is true. Good call.
If we can.
Millichamp.
Who said something?
So never mind.
What?
How about that? I don't know. Millichamp said it. You can check your audio when you switch it to the main mix, but when it's like that, no one hears you. So
That's fine.
this is,
So this is what we're doing?
yeah.
The headphones on makes me look better, but
She thinks she looks like Hey Arnold.
I do think I look like Harry Arnold with my new haircut.
No one's gonna watch this episode.
Yeah, it's a Sunday afternoon. Hi.
That works out a little better. Phil is joining us momentarily, but
Excellent. Are we going to be able to hear him?
yeah, I'll have to
put the headphones on. Okay.
I don't know why StreamYard doesn't have something where you can like hear yourself and monitor yourself, especially if you're using like higher end, like if you're using actual mics and a soundboard and stuff.
I mean, we could have tested beforehand.
Kendra says hi.
Hi, Kendra. She was a sweetheart.
She's awesome. Her and Jeff
Yeah.
are both great. Let's see. Tropical Storm Phil.
Is Philium there?
It is raining there.
Oh my God.
Hello.
Phil?
I was actually going to start like screaming and be like, "We're here in the epicenter!" storm!" But that's definitively not the case. I'm
It's
trying to
just
like
figure
your
out how to
headphones.
rotate my camera.
You look like Warren from There's Something About
wanna
Mary.
see-
Oh no!
Oh, shit. Shoot.
This is what happens when I join the show. Can you guys hear me okay or no?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Can you hear us?
Yeah, you're. So.
Can you see me smoking a cigar?
No, I can't. My screen's tiny. Hang on. There we go.
Hi, Phil.
Oh my God, you are smoking a cigar. Look at you.
I am smoking a cigar. I'm not doing a good job.
She's trying to. She's struggling.
This is the peer pressure that Dare taught me about.
Is your mom still there?
My mom is in Beaufort somewhere.
She's in town somewhere.
She's reading her book.
Oh, okay.
Enjoying the palm trees, which is not something we get.
What are
in
you
Ohio.
smoking on? A cigarette?
I'm losing you guys pretty bad. An you hear me all right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Does anyone know how to flip the camera on the phone or no?
There's usually a little button that has two arrows going in like opposite directions of each other, like a yin yang.
That's such a good way to describe it.
And then, no, you don't actually just flip the camera, Phil. It doesn't work like that, Grandpa. You're talking about not using the back of the camera, but the front camera?
Yeah. Hold on, I'm figuring it out.
He's struggling. So the audio version of this, I'm just going to start at like 25 minutes.
That's fine.
How's that? Did you get it, buddy? Is it like for real monsooning there? It sounds
like it.
Phil.
He drowned.
He did drown.
I feel like we need one of those screens from, what was it? Oregon Trail that is like, Phil has died of diphtheria. Phil has drowned.
It's just him. You just start hearing him scream. Help! Philip.
Sitting here, I feel like I should do the morning announcements. Good morning, St. Ursula Bulldogs. Today's lunch is grilled cheese. I used to do them for school.
Can you hear us?
Yes, now I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like I'm delayed.
I mean, you're not. You just look very confused.
Well, it's horrible weather. I'm trying not to get like attacked by the rain.
Can you sit inside?
Wi-Fi, which I think. No, I will, but I was smoking. I also wanted to show you guys like I'm just gonna turn the phone around. So like, it's coming. Like,
looks like rain to me. I'm no weatherman.
It's like a.
But water coming from the sky tells me it's raining.
I'm regretting coming on this show.
Why? These are your two favorite people. What do you mean? Just us?
Arguable.
Huh?
I said arguable.
Rude. Rude. And I'm... Feels like I have to carry this talk just like I carried the two of them back from Daytona.
Scott says, rain does not attack you, Phil. Does
Phil
not
is
attack
actually,
you unprovoked.
Phil is actually the Wicked Witch of the West. He can't get wet.
I will melt.
Good Lord, where are you going? Middle Earth? All I hear is you mouth breathing and going upstairs.
This will be a great
And he can hear us because he's smiling. He's not responding. But... What are you doing?
You guys can really hear me that loud?
Yeah.
It sounds like you're giving Optimus Prime a hand job.
This is
you
like
going
one of
into
those...
your attic?
I imagine this is what it's like to listen to a horror movie when you're blind.
Yeah.
All right. So nothing's loose. That's good.
Being hydrophobic does not constitute an attack. It just makes you a little bitch, Scott Hyper said.
Nice. This is the one time I'm like upset that I can't see his comments. I'm taking these off.
Okay.
Use your computer like a normal human being.
Yeah, I don't understand why you're not. Why?
Because it's plugged in and charging because I killed it.
Mine's plugged in to the outlet, so I can do this while it's charging.
Can he not afford electricity? Do we need to help Phil?
What kind of third world bullshit you got going on down there, buddy?
You want third world? I'll give you third world.
Oh God, what are you about to show me?
This is thrilling because I can't see anything.
Dude, that's a sweet ass Nerodia.
My mouth kind of tastes like I licked a cast iron pan, in case anyone's wondering how I'm doing.
She's struggling.
I'm not
Dom's
struggling.
but she barely even smoked this thing, and Dom's struggling.
It just doesn't. It's not intuitive to me.
Did you guys hear that or no?
No.
A little bit. I heard a crash.
Salzgale's very unhappy.
It was a water snake.
Yes, so is this one. This is a water snake.
All I see is the reflection of some sort of dirty website in the...
Stop.
It's not. I'm kidding. I don't even know what that is.
Really?
My mom says have fun on the podcast.
He's on the Beyblade website. What are you doing, Phil? I had a ton of Beyblades as a kid.
Did you really?
Dude, I love them.
Were those like the
battle tops.
Oh, okay, yeah. I did not have those as a child.
Let me get back to you guys. I'm gonna get the laptop. I'll plug it in, set it up, and I'll actually join this for real.
Perfect.
Okay.
Bye.
So, anyways, the one thing that I want to know,
yes,
is what was your experience getting into chondro pythons?
Mm-hmm.
As someone who was like, that's something I always wonder about, like knowing how some chondro folks are and how some groups are. What would you say your experience in getting into green trees was a good one, or was it kind of like intimidating?
I think it was intimidating. So my first snake was a green tree, which I've talked about before. Mm-hmm. So I had zero idea of how to do anything, like even how to get talking to people. So my first introduction was actually listening to Evan Browder on from the Ground Up podcast, Joe's podcast. And I didn't know that people kept green tree pythons as pets, but they've always been my favorite animal. I don't know why. I could have picked a much more interesting animal as my favorite, but that's the one. Like, if you asked me my favorite animal, it's a green tree python.
They're hard to beat.
They're really hard to beat, but like I could have picked a tiger, but I didn't. And then so I reached out to Joe, which is hilarious because I look back on our messages because it like showed up like my first messages to Joe, and I was like, "Hi, I'm a huge fan," and now I text Joe like I literally. I called Joe the other day because I found a beetle that I thought was cool. Like it's definitely it's been a change. But I reached out to him, and he recommended I reach out to Ian Bessel to get my to talk about getting a green tree. And so I started that process in like April of 2018, and I finally purchased a green tree in October of that year, right after Tinley. So my goal was to get a green tree python, but at the time I'm still in school, but I was in school and I had to have it at my parents' house.
Right.
So I needed to convince my parents to let me get a snake. So for my 21st birthday, we went to Tinley. That was my gift for my 21st birthday. And my mom told me I could get a snake, and I ended up, after going back and forth about a ball python or corn snake, she was like, those aren't good looking, so we got a green tree. And then when I actually started to get involved in the community, it was super intimidating, but I think Morelia as a whole is welcoming if you come into it the right way. Yeah. So coming into it with an idea of like, I want to learn, as opposed to this is what I'm going to do or this is what I am doing. Because I think that's what I see mostly in the groups and like Facebook and stuff is people come in with these really elaborate setups or have like really have their mind made up of how they're going to keep an animal, and then that kind of gets you ostracized.
And they ask for help, and then when people are like, you're already doing it wrong, and then people get upset because the way they thought they had it was right, and it's not.
Absolutely. I guess I can take off my headphones. Yeah, and I got, I joined the big groups, like the Morelia Viridis forum, and then just Green Tree Pythons, Morelia Viridis, that one. And then from there, I just started connecting with people on like Facebook and Instagram. I think Instagram was the big way I first started talking to people, because I know I reached out to you.
Yeah, I think it seems like a lot of people are kind of moving to Instagram more than Facebook.
Well, it's less personal on Instagram. I think you can keep it very like snake centric, as opposed to people needing to know.
If you want to see certain things, you can follow it to see that. Otherwise, like I see. Other than like Instagram stories, I see no political stuff on Instagram.
Yeah, me neither.
Which I love.
And
we already get inundated with that stuff enough.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get away from it.
And I have a couple accounts, and like I've had this conversation with people before who like, I'm like, you don't have to follow my personal account. That is your choice. But if you do, like that's where I'll post things about my life and things going on. But if you just want to be my snake friend, easy peasy.
Yep,
we got an account for it.
Yep.
And it's worked out well. I've made some really good friends that way. So,
because I don't know, looking at the chondro groups and stuff, and knowing how sort of that community can be, like I do feel for people that are kind of coming into it in a way, because I know that it is intimidating. Like there's all the misconceptions about the species being hard. There's guys that just or people that got to make it seem like it's a much more serious or bigger deal than it really is. And like, I don't know. I mean, it's like we were talking about before with like the ball python stuff, and like, that's not really a part of the hobby you just kind of just walk into and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do something new and different. It's like, you're not reinventing the wheel, buddy. Like
everyone's done it.
We've already done that. Like,
yeah. And I think I was lucky in,
there's Phil.
Because I had so much time between when I was able to get my first snake and like when I wanted to, because I did read every book I watched. I watched every video. I read all the care guides. So I had that, but I think you see a lot with green trees, and I'm generalizing here, but it's often an impulse purchase. And people, and I think that's where they're notoriously difficult comes from, because someone buys it at a show and it's probably sick and already dying, and
the odds are stacked against you from the get-go.
Yeah, and they do have like somewhat specialized care, but once you have it, you're fine. You're home free.
Because I mean, your first snake was a chondro. Luke Myers, his first snake was a chondro, and it was the same thing where he had just done as much research on it as he could. I mean, part of it is you can read about things all day long, and it's not the same as actually doing them.
Right.
So it's like there is a degree of like learning as you go. I think like physical hands-on sort of
messing up a lot.
But
lots of stuck shed, lots of like refused meals, and it's one of those things where it's like, obviously I want to do everything that's best for my animal, but I freaked out at the beginning, like if a piece of shed was stuck or if it didn't eat every time, and it was just kind of like, meh, like it'll be fine.
Yeah.
The
I mean, I wouldn't recommend chondros as a first snake, but could someone keep one as their first snake? Absolutely. Like they're not difficult snakes to keep. It's just they require you have less of a margin for error.
I think if I did it again, I would start with a carpet.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because I think it's got it's got what I like in a green tree, which is I'm just attracted to arboreal species in general. Right. But it's a bit more forgiving, and I think there's a lot more variation you can go. And truth of the matter is like much as it sucks, is like you're gonna lose animals as you keep them. And buying an $800 animal for my first ever animal was freaky. Like I was kind of
there is, I mean, when you have a high dollar animal, whether you're, I hate to sort of compare things on a monetary value, but it definitely does make things a little more nerve wracking when you're like, I just spent this much money on a snake, and now I'm like Don't kill it.
Yeah.
Phil, that ball python's sweet, buddy.
How much blue is on that ball python? So much blue.
Just the one I saw.
All right, just a reminder, I have ball pythons, so
It was a big rhino viper.
Keep it
It
in
wasn't
check.
actually a ball python. I just like to give him a hard time.
he's just feeding it ball python. Mm-hmm.
Phil, how fast would a rhino viper kill you of that size?
Like how fast would it be defensive in its?
No, how
in its
fast would
attack?
you got bit? How screwed are you?
I mean, it depends on your body's way of handling it, but usually you got at least an hour or two before you start really getting fucked up. But I mean, at that point, you're done. You know what I mean?
The damage is done.
Yeah.
Going back.
So.
That's insane.
Is my keys really loud every time I do that?
They are very loud every time you do that.
Everything's key lock. So like, I don't normally like unlock everything. I do one cage at a time. That way I don't forget to lock something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds smart.
But every time I go to open the cage,
What
I
a
gotta
concept.
go. Yeah, right. What a concept.
Did you know? I learned this yesterday. Squams cannot move on the ground.
Did you not get my picture?
I did. And that if you get bit, you will die.
Oh my god. Okay,
And you have an hour to live.
You will most definitely die.
And if you get bit by a coral snake and you're out in the woods, you won't even make it to your car.
Really?
Really. These are all things I learned yesterday.
It's crazy, man.
From a local legend.
expert.
All right. It's so dark in here. Why is it so dark? All right, Dominique, pick a color, red or yellow.
I don't like either of those.
Either.
Red. Red.
Fine.
Ooh, is it squam time?
Is it red?
Yeah.
All right, it's red.
I can't see anything, so it doesn't matter to me.
I mean,
That's
I can
fine.
turn this, I think.
I don't care.
Not really.
Yeah, okay. I'm having a good time over here, just staring at nothing. I feel like I'm playing I Spy in your garage. There's just lots. There are lots of things in your garage that I'm distracted by.
Look at that.
Ooh, look how pretty that is.
Boy, put that thing on the ground and it won't be able to do anything. You'll completely dismantle it. Oh.
Was there an earthquake?
No.
I know. You're really doing me dirty with the side profile here. I look like a potato. Hang it from the ceiling. I'm enjoying this, Phil. That's a beautiful snake.
He's so mad at me right now.
Is that a corn snake?
I wish I could like turn him around because he's literally like all cocked back, ready to fucking end my world. But like, I wish you could see his. You know what? Let's just do this.
Don't do anything stupid.
Just grab it with your hand, buddy.
Stupid is as stupid does.
This is like the devil and the angel on the shoulder.
Come on, let go.
I mean, that's a pretty good sized squam too, isn't it?
That's pretty.
Yeah.
Like that's
Ooh.
that's slightly bigger than normal.
Oh, that's about average adult.
Is it?
I love it because this camera angle is how guys on Instagram take pictures of their snakes, and so it looks like it's 18 feet long.
It's God Squamzilla.
Do you guys actually see it or no? Because I'm too
Yeah,
far
no.
away.
I mean, it looks
No,
like
we
it's
can.
about to whack your computer.
Is it blurry?
No, not.
Okay,
I mean, not really. Looks fine to me.
Cool.
Hi, Andy.
Do you keep yours together?
Yeah.
I'm
Wow.
late, but hi, Andy. Sorry.
Are they? Is it a pair or is it just?
It was supposed to be a 1.2, and the other. Wow, it's gaping at me. Holy shit! I've never seen that before.
It never happens.
It never happens. It was supposed to be a 1.2, and that turned out to be a what I believe to be a 0.3, and then that one was a male died. So.
Dom is really struggling with this cigar.
I am doing my absolute best. I don't understand, but I want to be one of the boys. This is hard. we're just gonna put it down and drink my coffee. Hi,
He's
Phil.
getting his glasses on, so.
Oh, goodness gracious. In case you're ever wondering what the conversations with Phil and I are like, oftentimes it's like this, where one of us is cleaning and the other one's just in the background.
Just there. Hey, Brad.
Hi, Brad.
But yeah, I mean,
You
just,
guys see me or no?
Yeah, we can see you.
we were talking about chondros and getting into them and coming into the fold as a new person, if it was sort of a good or not great experience.
I think I've been really lucky. I think I've met the right people to get into it, and I'm also not shy, so
That-
I
that
will,
helps.
which helps.
Yeah.
I think. Oh wow, that's so pretty.
It's a sweet black racer. I
Of
like
course,
to
now
play
that
this.
I take them out, you won't fill up at all.
I like to play this game with Phil, where he takes out some of his venomous, and I make it like the most basic species I can.
God, it's
This
pretty.
is horrible. This is horrible hook technique, and I would never normally do this, but it's for the camera.
Which one is that?
This is a Nubian spinning.
Is this the
Oh.
footage that's going to be on Fatal Attractions
That's
in
right.
about 6 months?
Jesus.
Definitely not.
It's funny.
All right, we'll put him back because he's all grumpy grumps.
So am I.
My problem with, like, I mean, it's not uncommon for you to get people in the chondro community that sort of just come in and they're like, I'm gonna show y'all how it's done.
Yeah, or try to prove.
I'm gonna, like, they just, it's the need, or the feeling of the need to have to, like, keep up. Like, you come in and it's like instantly you have to be up to speed with everyone else.
Oh my God.
And be where they are, and that's.
Can you see him at all or no?
Huh?
Can you see him or no?
No, we just see your computer.
Yeah, I just see. I thought I was looking at a screen in a screen.
Damn. I tried.
Phil's having his own show.
Look at those glasses, you nerd.
No, I didn't know Phil could read.
I don't think Phil knew he could read.
Henry says I should take out El Duce.
I don't know what that is or who that
El
is.
Duce is the Ethiopian cobra.
Oh,
But I have a feeling he's going to do the exact same thing the Nubian did and not put up.
yep.
Mm. So aside from chondros, what's
Yeah.
up? Dominique, how are you liking Beaufort?
It's lovely. It's very rainy,
Yeah, it's been
but
pretty
at least
crappy
it's
weather.
prettier here than rain in Ohio. So, that's always my baseline is Ohio, which is a really poor baseline to have.
I'll
So
say it's pretty low.
everything else looks great. I even love Pennsylvania.
Even New Jersey was beautiful.
I was born in New Jersey. Stunning. Garden State.
I was born in New Jersey too. The first 15 years of my life, I was in New Jersey.
First 15 days of my life, I was in New Jersey. Yeah.
That's the extent of her connection to the state.
Yeah. My grandma lives there, but
I went there once. I'm never going back.
it's not a bad place. There's just better places.
My sister was in marching band in high school, and they had some sort of, I guess it's regional, if region counts as like the East Coast, but they had some competition up there at the NFL stadium for the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought my dad was going to have an aneurysm driving around up there. Boy, that's a sweet looking
Is that a ring neck?
bull snake.
It's a decays.
Yep. You know, I hear if you want to get closer to Jesus, you hold that in your hands and dance around with it, and it won't bite you, but you will be blessed with the powers of the Appalachian Snake Handler Church.
Someone's going to take this out of context for Snake King, not Tiger King.
So what's the name of
Tom
this?
is about to bust out the Ouija board.
What's the name of what?
What's the name of the show?
This is THP.
Hell yeah. Nice. I made it.
You made it. I love it.
But we're trying to have actual conversation. Phil's over here distracting us with his water snakes and
Phil-
pole snakes and racers.
Mike
Yeah.
said I'm about to bust out the Ouija board. Just no, I don't mess with Ouija boards.
Chicken.
Catholic.
I'm not even religious and I don't mess around
They
with Ouija
scared
boards.
me. That's like what I took from school.
I don't even know if I believe.
Don't
I
even.
ain't even gonna
I
find
don't
out.
even like it.
I ain't even
It's
gonna
not worth
find out.
it. Ooh, it's too scary.
I wish it was
Especially with our
brighter.
mutual. What'd you say?
I said I wish it was brighter in here. I was going to show you guys more stuff, but it's just so dark in here. I mean, I don't know what you
Okay.
guys
Dungeon.
Yeah.
Dungeon. Any
So.
action with the perps?
No, I just checked them. Like when I first set up the laptop, I just checked them, and they're not killing each other. They're not battle torn or anything, but they are just sitting next to each other, staring at me, trying to kill me. So before I leave this room, I will spray them down again because they know it's monsooning outside. So hopefully something good comes out of it.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers
Get
crossed.
some babies.
Some
I love
baby.
baby snakes.
Who doesn't? Right?
I just want all baby snakes. Never adults.
Scott.
She understands the power of the Baird's rats now.
They're very cool.
Oh yeah, she does she?
Yeah, they're cool.
She does.
I still like your cat more, but you just have
Dude,
a cool cat.
It's hard to
Hector?
beat that. It's hard to beat Hector.
Hector is so cute.
And what Scott was saying to make lights, it's actually bright in here. I can see all my animals. I can see what's going on. But like for some reason, because I guess the glare from the window or whatever, the camera makes it look really dark.
Mm-hmm. Or the fact that you have a bright ass light in the corner and your camera can't see anything else because of how bright that light is.
Yeah.
Then that's not gonna light up the room. Hello.
Well, I can't turn that light off because then I won't be able to see what's going on.
I hope somebody is watching this and just watched you hang up on them as they tried to call you.
I know. And that's actually a guy who would be watching this.
Oh my
Well, whoever
goodness.
was, sorry.
Absolutely insane.
Here, this one is for all of our red-blooded Americans and Jake.
A yellow rat snake?
I love it when Phil shows off his animals as if he doesn't send us pictures of them every single day. My mom's going to be so mad at me when she smells tobacco.
It's fine. The door's open.
In her new car.
Dom got a whopping 3 puffs
I am.
into this.
We are still so early on.
Look at that, boy.
Wow.
That's that species Metallica was talking about. Mm-hmm.
This is
Is that a
actually
berm?
it's an actual big one.
Yeah, that thing's pretty chunky. That's a beast. Oh, someone's grilling. Now you hear Phil go, son of a bitch.
I know. This is why Phil doesn't record inside. He's too distracted. I feel like we shouldn't even be talking.
Scott wants that cane break. Is that one of the recent ones?
He's
See,
not going
this
to
is a
talk.
test. This is good because
Yeah.
this is a test. Phil's ignoring me, and I like that.
As he should be.
We're throwing a whole bunch of distractions at him, and he's blocking them out. Like a
What else can we do to distract him?
What are you
Talk about
saying?
it. Exactly. Good job.
Exactly. You passed.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, you did a good job. Just
Okay.
trust us.
Is that one of the cane breaks you got recently?
No, that one. Well, I probably had him about a year now. That's actually the father to the little one I just showed you a little while ago. But he's just awesome. That's a North Florida locality that Marcus gave me as a gift, and he's just an awesome animal. He
Cane
never.
breaks are sexy, man.
I give him like a medium rat like every other month because he just won't eat. He just knows that he's fat and happy and doesn't eat it. You know.
It's a shame that Phil never learned how to turn on silent on his phone.
Yeah.
Did it go off
Or
during
how
your
to turn his
wedding?
camera around.
No, it really, SteamYard wouldn't let me turn the camera around.
Yeah, okay, we'll blame StreamYard.
Oh my god.
Okay. That's it. That's all you get.
Thank you for your presence.
Well, no, I'm not hanging up. I'm just not taking-
That's all you get as far as snakes
Shucks.
go.
Damn it.
Yeah. No, you know what? That's a lie. I will take out one animal, and that's strictly to piss off Nipper and Scott.
This cracks me up because this is an audio platform.
Not for the people watching actively.
Yeah, for the 7 people we got. Hey guys. 8. Brad.
By the way, I like to say that all the hooks used in this demonstration are by Venom Life Gear. Get hooked.
In all this time, you could have been working on that article.
Yeah, all right, whatever.
I need the pictures because I need a cover photo option, and I was thinking about using one from that.
Okay, you'll get it.
When you went to see Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is an article I'm very excited about, but
I feel like I shouldn't blow it this way.
it doesn't matter.
Just
I mean, it's
Shut up.
like pissing in the wind.
I don't know what I did.
What do you mean?
Is it supposed to be all wonky?
It's not. That ain't that bad. That's fairly okay for a burn.
I feel like a dumbass.
He's not lit. Now you're ashing all over yourself.
I'm trying not to.
Good God. Oh
Listen.
yeah, there we go. I love sand boas. Is that an anery boy?
What's it het for?
Dude, the freaking rattle on that thing's long.
Yeah, man.
Is that Franklin one?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's a big one, dude.
Well, I mean, it's perception. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, like, legitimately, that seems like a large...
Yeah.
A large lep.
It is a large mouth. And his rattle's probably about 12 or 13 buttons.
Oh. All right, we're going to get into, like, actual podcast stuff.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I want to know as well, not only your experience with green tree pythons and getting into them, but you started the female herp group.
Yeah, female herpers and reptile keepers.
What was the motivation behind that?
I was getting
The
tired of all the boys.
Man Haters
Oh my
Club.
God, I hate that so much. Oh no, I mean, you know, it's been like a great group, and it was just, we started in June, and actually on my drive over here, we hit 700 members, which is really exciting. Yeah, it's been really great. And it was mostly made as a way to connect women in the hobby, because just in general,
It's mostly a boys' club.
yeah, and it can be a bit intimidating to get involved, especially like we said, that I'm not too shy. I'm willing to speak with people and stuff, but that's not common necessarily. And so it's been like an awesome way to connect women in the hobby, and then also find other women who are in your species, maybe if it's more niche or if in your area too. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It has been a really excellent experience for me to speak with other women in the hobby. And we include non-binary people as well. So if you're interested in joining, feel free. It's been really great. I've met a lot of people. I've started to recognize names a lot more. And then we've had some great conversations about helping propel women in the hobby too. And then it's also led to a lot of discussions with like our friends about how we can have like good allies from the men in the hobby too.
Right. Because, I mean, we talked about, so we had Kendra and Jeff on last week, and she kind of talked about that, where she's been in the hobby longer than Jeff has. And when they're at shows, Jeff goes to the bathroom or something, and people come up to the table to ask questions, and, you know, they're under the impression that it's Jeff's table and she's just there helping out, when it's actually more or less kind of the opposite. Even though they're in it together.
Yeah.
But I know, like, being in the crested world for a while, there's a lot of women in cresteds and chihuahuas and racodactylists or whatever you want to call them now. I think there's a surprising amount of females in chondros too. Like,
yeah,
especially like ones that are historic in chondro propagation. You know, like Colette Sutherland and what's her name? I think her name is Kim. She's with Southern Chondros. I don't know if she's even breeding chondros anymore, but she had some really nice stuff, and she was doing really cool things for a while. I think she still breeds. I'm not 100% sure, but then you have also people like Pia and Dr. Susan that are on like the medical side of things that are putting a lot of good information out there about, you know, viruses and whatnot.
I know, Nipper. I'm sorry. I said niche, not niche.
It's niche.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I go back and forth because I feel like an idiot. But yeah, no, it's been absolutely awesome. And what Kendra brought up has seemed to be like a recurring theme of a lot of women who run their own businesses or maybe are the breeders, bringing partners to shows and having their male partner be spoken to more. I get that at shows. I go to a lot of shows by myself, and a lot of times people won't pay attention to me. It's just fine, because if you're not going to give me the time of day, I'm not going to buy from you. It's just the truth. But it can be really disheartening, especially for people starting.
I can see that.
And you're right that there are species that are definitely more female dominated, like a lot of the geckos, which is like awesome. And I think it's because it's a good entry level animal. So people, you know, get into it really quickly, which is great. And I have some great crested breeder friends. But then you get into more niche niche corners of the hobby. That's for Nipper. And it can be harder to find women. And I think with Morelia and stuff, especially green trees, I did find a few women that I've become close with. But it took a bit to get there.
Yeah.
And it makes you nervous to like reach out to someone and be like, hey, I kind of want to be your friend.
Obviously, being a guy, I haven't dealt with, and B, don't really see sort of the passing over that you see at shows and stuff. I pretty much assume everybody, if they're behind a table, if they're selling at a table and they're with someone that's, you know, whether they're a wife or something or a husband, like if they're behind the table, I expect them to kind of know what's being sold and have at least a general knowledge of what they're selling, you know, whether they're just there to help out or not.
But see, I come from a time when you can't give them that much credit, regardless of their gender.
True.
Because so many times I've been to a show and, you know, and I don't want to say I intentionally talked to the man, but it happened to be the guy that was there with his wife. And he says, you know, how can I help you? And I say, oh, you know, how old is this? And, oh, is this the subspecies or the other one, blah, blah, blah. And he has no idea. And I imagine, and then I kind of look at the wife and she gives me the same look, like I really have no idea. And that's because it's his hobby, not hers, or vice versa. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, I think that's kind of everyone's sort of default, because that's kind of what, you know, that's what you see more often than not. But as far as like people looking to buy, like women looking to buy, and guys being like, well, you know, what are you going to do with a rough scale python kind of thing, or whatever. I don't know. I don't have much of an opinion as far as the whole like feminism and that kind of stuff. It's just kind of like,
I just don't think it's like about feminism necessarily, though. Like, I think that's like, I wouldn't throw that in there necessarily. I would just say that it's about expanding people in the hobby in general.
Yeah, I mean, like equal treatment kind of thing. I get that.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's just I don't know how to describe it.
But at the shows especially, I think like things obviously feel like things may have gotten, I think things have gotten better. But even just little things that I do, when I go to a show, I always wear a herp shirt so people know that I'm there getting herp stuff. And I've brought guys to shows before, like male friends and stuff. And it is interesting because they always get the hello first and like, what are you looking for? And those are just the kind of things that it's good to be cognizant of and be aware that maybe that's like implicit bias in that regard. And we have a lot of conversations like this in the group. So the group is, I want to emphasize to anyone who may be concerned, we have like a strict no misandry. So no man hating. There's no saying shit about male keepers because
Fat Phil Wolf's the devil.
because well, that's an exception. Phil, we can talk shit about.
Who let her on?
we have a subreddit about Phil. No, but I think that's like important. But it really has just been a way of I think it's become a really great mentorship circle too, because
if you're coming into it, knowing that there's a group
specifically,
where it's not like there's, I guess I can see there being sort of an intimidation factor of like, this is a boys club, I don't know what I'm doing,
and asking stupid questions, and we've got like pretty strict rules set up and like guidelines. So when you first see the group, that it's like we're very very focused on positive, constructive feedback. So we have like none of the I can't say we have none of, but we pay very close attention to making sure that there's not like husbandry policing, because people keep their animals differently. So we have some people who keep bioactive, some people who keep in racks, yada yada, but also being open to like conversations of the difference between both. But we've got a lot of people who will join in the group and be like, hey, I'm interested in this species, who keeps it? And then 6 people comment, and then you can just talk to them. And I do want to point out Scott Eiper? Yeah, nice.
Scott Diaper.
Scott, his wife Ty has a great group as well that focuses on female keepers, and they are mainly based in Australia, but I'm in that group too, and it's super fucking awesome. So theirs is the Herpers group, capital HERPERS. And I love promoting both groups because there can never be too many. And that group is really great because Nipper did ask the question about female venomous keepers. They have a really large presence of female venomous keepers in that group too.
That's all they have to keep over there is venomous.
Venomous
carpets.
In my group we have a few as well, which has been great. Yeah. We have a couple different species. It's definitely not the most prevalent.
Right.
But there's been some great conversations and great showcasing about that, which has been really awesome to learn about for me as well, because I'm still new to learning about that too.
I mean, I do think we are to like sort of a turning point in the hobby with obviously the internet and everything, where you are seeing more people from, very diverse backgrounds and different walks of life and stuff. To where I'm sure it's becoming much more normalized that we have, more women are in the hobby now than there probably were 25 years ago, 30 years ago. So I think, like everything else, the internet sort of becomes more of a melting pot, even if it's a melting pot that's on fire.
Yeah,
it's very cool.
It's awesome. I mean, I feel so lucky to have had the support I have too from like a lot of my male friends, like Phil and Justin. You guys have been great mentors to me in the hobby too. And I am in no way an expert on anything I do, nor would I consider myself a mentor to anyone, but building these friendships has just been incredible in the group.
Yay.
It's been awesome. And a huge shout out to Jake. Wish he was here, but Jake was the one who really pushed me to start it. Because it was something.
Oh, really?
It's something I'd spoken about with him a few times, and it goes into the.
I was kind of surprised that it hadn't existed. Really before.
So
like, at least
groups in the past have existed, to my knowledge. I have not been involved in them, and so I don't want to speak poorly on other groups. But a lot of what I've seen is that there was strong backlash from male keepers.
Really.
That kind of caused groups to fizzle, or male keepers trying to join groups and cause trouble.
Yeah.
Which luckily we haven't had any problems with.
I can see that too. Guys being like, I'm gonna find me a girlfriend. I'm gonna go to one of these groups.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not a dating app.
Freaking free for all.
It's not.
I kind of tried.
Yeah, Phil was like asking. He's like, "Well, do you need male guidance?" And if we needed male guidance, you'd be the last person I turn to, anyways.
Oh,
I never once said male guidance, mind you. I was like, listen, I'll just lurk in the background just so I can be a fly on the wall. And she's like, no, you don't have the right chromosome.
Yeah. Well, but Groups of the past have existed and just kind of fizzled out of the ages. I think with the speed at which I don't want to say my group, our group is growing, and then also having another group such as Ties has just been awesome, because kind of the two at once, double teamed has been really great to get people a little bit more aware. And it's fun too. It's just cool to see people's species and ask questions and stuff.
It seems, I think with a lot of Facebook groups, there kind of has to be like the right recipe for one to sort of be successful, because you see groups all the time that have 200 members, but then Facebook says there's a post like once a month.
Yeah, and we got
at yours, I mean, it took off quick.
It took off quick.
So you were like 100 members in the first like 2 or 3 days, right?
Yeah,
if not sooner.
Yeah, reaching 700 members has been like, that's really exciting. But we actually got banned earlier this week for a fun day, because Facebook came in and is like, you're selling animals, and we're like, no, we are not, and we almost got the group taken down. So that was scary, mainly because we almost got zucked, mainly because I've made a lot of friends in this group, and it has been really awesome and really fun. But we try to keep the group very open. We've got 4 admins from all different species, like keeping, which has been fun too, because people can give advice and insight. And then just the variety of animals you see has been great. Like, we have a lot of geckos, we have a lot of the like more common species, but then we have some venomous keepers. We got some people who keep like false water cobras and cribos, and those aren't things you necessarily see women handling on a day-to-day basis, so it's been really fun.
Well, no, it's neat, because like I said, I mean, I'm kind of surprised that I would think, just given how Facebook groups have sort of taken the place of forums and stuff like that, that a sizable group that's actually active and has people actually engaging them, each other in it. I'm surprised that hadn't existed before, at least on a, even if it was on a smaller scale. But I don't know. I mean, it made sense. I remember when you were talking about doing it, I was like, that first question was, there's not already a group that does that. And then, I think when you have sort of the crossover of the U.S. group, or I guess this side of the globe, that group, and then the Australian group, it's pretty cool, because I'm sure I would imagine there's a lot more female keepers in Australia than over here. And I don't know, maybe that's just because of the amount, like the popularity of the hobby over there, and like especially venomous stuff. I don't know. It's cool. It's cool.
And then only other thing is that it also, I think, is kind of going back to our first conversation, the fact that I got into the hobby in Morelia, which is already a small group that seems to be pretty tight knit, having made those friends there, and having Morelia keepers support us and kind of get the word out, and post about it on Facebook and Instagram, and really do that, is we got a lot of women who were already pretty involved in the community, who then added a bunch of people who were also in it. So we started off with a group of women who were pretty well invested in the community to begin with.
Well, you got, I mean, not that many come to mind to me when I think of people, and I guess this is something me and Phil were wanting to talk about tomorrow night on Snakes and Stogies, but like the hobby versus community, because it does kind of tie into cigars. Like you have cigar guys that smoke cigars, and you have cigar smokers. Just like anything else, you got guys that play golf, and you have golfers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, there's a very big difference, and so I'm sure there's plenty of people in the hobby, but then you think about people like women that are in the community. Like I think about, you, because the group and stuff, obviously, and, we talk a lot. But like April, she does a lot with bloods and whatnot. Colette, I mean, I know there's some others that do venomous stuff. Maybe they don't necessarily keep it, but they're like a husband-wife team. A couple on Instagram that come to mind. But then like crested geckos. I mean, there's a ton of crested gecko breeders that are females, and I know that was kind of odd when I got into cresteds and sort of scoped out the landscape, and I was like, there's really not that many dudes that
Yeah.
play cresteds. Like, it's almost the complete opposite. Like, it's
Which is
completely
really
flip-flopped.
interesting.
It's
Yeah.
very bizarre because it's like, why are these? Why is this more of like a female-dominated market?
I have
And
no
I
idea
don't
why.
know what the
I don't know what it, because I think crested geckos are just they're the best. I love cresties.
Tracy, yeah, I mean, Tracy Barker, Scott said, Pia, Kristen Wiley,
Emily Taylor.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's some incredible names of women in the hobby. My goal would be by the time I get out of the hobby, I'm really young. I hope I don't get too tired too soon. But I would like it to be that as quickly as you can name like the 5 men that inspire you in the hobby, you can name the 5 women, and we can ask that for like every keeper. And eventually we'll get to the point where you don't have to ask to delineate between the 2 of them, and it's just a simple way of saying it. But it's great. It's been such a rewarding experience, and it was a very good COVID project because, man, have I spent a lot of time on Facebook.
Yeah, and Scott says in academia there's even more.
Yes.
Which, I mean, that's something too that a lot of people, depending on even on any level in the hobby or community, depending on how you look at it, that probably don't even probably couldn't name any of them.
Yeah, and that's actually been something that's been a big push for me in the last couple months is getting women in academia involved in the group. And one woman who I will look up to till the day I die, her name is Kristen Heckbender. She is a Hellbender researcher from Kentucky. I believe she's still getting her doctorate. And she has been involved in the group, and she posted the other day, she's like, I just love the community here, and I about cried. I was like so excited. I was like, thank you, Kristen. And I think that's like fundamentally a thing that's just kind of goes across the board, is that women in academia are very prevalent and often often overlooked. But then I think
there's already kind of a divide though between
that's
the
exactly
private
what I was
sector and
gonna say.
academia.
There's
already a sort of separation between the church and state kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's interesting. I have found a lot of women in academia who are also keepers and who have been great assets to the group, and then also just my growth in general and using as resources. We've got a thread in the group of Twitter is a large place for women in academia, women in science in general. So you got a big thread there of the best.
I tried to get into Twitter.
I love Twitter.
I
love Twitter.
I
Except
tried,
I
and
deleted
was like,
it
this
a couple
is
weeks ago,
it's
but we're
moving
going to
too
get back
fast.
into it. But they have a large women in STEM presence there that I try to highlight too.
Oh, Henry says the head of the Thai Red Cross is a woman.
Cool.
And then Scott says still a ratio of 1 female to 4 males.
Yeah. So it's definitely there's room, there's growth opportunities for sure.
I think it's fair to say that when it comes to Nido, though, the first person people think of when Nido comes to mind isn't Cody. It's Pia. Anytime I think of Nido, I think Pia and Dr. Susan. I mean, granted, my experience has been pretty much communication with them about it. 5 questions, I'm messaging Pia.
Yeah.
And so I think that's been, I'm sure that's changed for some, like that's opened people's minds a little bit to some degree. Because I don't know of anybody going straight to Cody and being like, hey man, what's up with Nido? Because Cody will just be like, talk to Pia. Yeah. I mean, not that he doesn't know a lot about it, but Pia's definitely more involved, I think, in that and sort of the research of it, working with Fishhead and stuff that, like I said, she's the first person that comes to mind when people start talking about Nido. I'm like, well, what did I talk to Pia about? What has she told me that other people may not know, or something that hasn't been talked about as much when it comes to that disease. But Phil, as a woman in the hobby, what's it like?
Oh my God! Don't even let Phil have this platform.
I was going to say that I think that your group is great for a bunch of different reasons, but one of the real things that I noticed on the internet is that, yeah, we as men get a little butthurt because we can't join your club, but at the same time, I've seen so many women who take the initiative to ask a question, a viable question, a good question, and the first thing that happens is some male jerk basically berates her and treats her like crap, and it makes her not,
yeah.
See, that's what I was talking about. Like,
it makes her not want to ask another question.
But granted, I'm not in a lot of groups, so I don't subject myself to it. Like, I'm just not that active in the public forum.
I look at it this way: let her be in this women's group. Let her ask the question, and if none of the women in there can answer it, and they have to seek an outside opinion, or they have to seek a male opinion because he happens to be the authority at the time. Hopefully the group has enough dude friends like myself or Justin or Billy or Jake or Chris or Ryan or whomever that they can send them to and say, you know what? Justin actually knows a lot more about that than me, and he's not going to treat you like a child.
Yeah, we do that all the time. All the time. And I think, yeah, we do. And I think it's been really cool to see people get involved in the group and like ask those questions and encourage them to talk to other people. Because like I said, it's not a man haters club. It's just a way to connect with other women and connect with people who maybe feel more comfortable asking the question first. And going back to what you said, Phil, is I've talked about it with like you as friends and stuff. My first introduction to the hobby was actually working at a reptile rescue where I help with animal rehab. And I rarely answer questions, but if you ask me a question about an animal that has like an injury, in general, I can give you a pretty good idea of what to do. And one thing I've noticed, and this is something that I don't expect any of guys to necessarily notice, is that whenever I answer a question, and I see this a lot with women too, we feel the need to quantify or qualify ourselves as answering the question well. So I will always say, hey, I work at a rescue. I work with these kinds of injuries. This is what you do. Whereas every time I see a guy answer, he just says, this is what you do. Yet I am often the one who gets responses saying, well, we're not experts. You don't necessarily know that's the best option. And that's, and it's discouraging. Yeah, I can see that. And I get why I'm not an expert. I get I'm not an expert, but I also will tell you now that this is what experts would probably tell you to do because I work under them every day.
I'm equal opportunity when it comes to stupid answers and wrong information. So.
Yeah. And Scott said that it's common for women to get comments about their appearance. 100%. That's something that I see a lot happen. A lot of times guys will slide into DMs and stuff for a lot of the people I've talked to. And like Nipper was saying, it doesn't happen as much in Europe, which is nice. And I hope that is how it kind of continues here. And I think that goes a lot into one of the first big conversations we had in our group was discussing like the idea of a booth babe and how a lot of times you're at the booth and you're talking like you're the authority on the subject, but people look at you as if you're the one that is there just to attract other people to come to the booth, when that's not necessarily the truth.
Is that a thing?
That is most definitely a thing.
Yeah.
In
not
Florida?
so much, not so much in reptiles, but like
yeah, definitely like car shows and stuff.
Yeah, but it happens. It also is the term for. So I'm traditionally like I'm studying technology, so you see it in women in STEM too. Oftentimes, you're chatted up and then not spoken to like you're the professional that you are, just in general. So the term being a booth babe having nothing to do with how they're dressed or how they actually look, but just.
Well, I've always noticed too is that, especially with my industry, when I go to trade shows where it's all meet and greet and order
it's like the Monster Girls.
Well, not even that. Imagine the Monster Girls dressed in a business suit who are taught and programmed either what to say or just enough about the material so that they can keep you on ice and then hand you off to a salesperson. Mm-hmm. So like,
and I also want to make it clear that, go ahead.
No, I was going to say is that I don't see that in reptiles, but I feel like the person that goes to the expo and is expecting that is the same person that goes to the reptile show and happens to see the girl standing there or the guy standing there, and they assume that they're, the booth bunny, and they're not. They're normal.
Mm-hmm. And it's I think too one of those things that I don't want it to seem like I am judging any woman for maybe helping attract people to their booth or whatever, because I'm in no place to judge a woman or anyone else by how they conduct business and like get people to their booth or whatever. But I think the assumption that people are just there to be eye candy or to be an attractor for every person is frustrating. And Cox made a good point about women in retic groups showing off a snake and like people trying to hit on them. I see that a lot. It's like I'll take pictures with my animals And I usually, like, honestly, if I'm dressed nice, I like to take out my animals and like get a picture because I think it's kind of like nice, but I will very rarely post them because I don't want it to come across as me trying to show off or like trying to get attention. When you see guys,
solicit.
Yeah, when you see guys all the time taking selfies of their snakes and no one ever thinks that they're trying to
shirts and
yeah and no one ever thinks that they're trying to, you know, get a girlfriend with their snakes. Like, I'm not trying to get a boyfriend with my snakes. That is not the goal.
right.
And I think a lot of people think that.
But you can't knock them. Like, yeah, there's a lot of creepers and there's a lot of dirtbags out there, but you can't knock a guy for seeing a girl that he finds attractive who happens to be into his same hobby, and he goes, "Oh my God, she's cool. She likes snakes and she's pretty. I need to DM her right now."
Yeah, but I don't think that's how they go about it.
Yeah, and I also just I think there's a different way of saying, like, "Hey, I saw your animals. That's really cool," as opposed to being like,
"You must want to see my penis."
Yeah, which is something that happens, or just being like, "Hey, you're hot."
This
like,
is clearly she's
like,
she's
I'm always down to make
picture.
new friends, but I don't really want to flirt with you because you think my snake is like, you obviously aren't. Like, you can tell when there's an ulterior motive.
I got you.
You know, I think you should, if you're reaching out to someone like this, you should be reaching out because you genuinely like the content they're posting, like their animals, and then maybe third because they're pretty.
I'll tell you, I get discouraged from talking to girls with snakes online because I assume that their inbox is exploded with dirtbags trying to get in their snake pants.
Genitalia.
Well, I think it's
and now I'm like, well, crap, I'm not even going to message her because, like, not even like as a friend, because she's just not even going to open it. She's going to assume I'm one of those guys.
Well, then try to build a relationship with her first. Like, for example, Phil, like, we talked first on snakes and stogies and like that kind of stuff. Like, yeah. And then because of that, I didn't assume you were a dirtbag sliding into my DMs. And I do not
later.
now I know you're a dirtbag. And I like again, I can't speak for everyone in the hobby, but this is just my experience and the general experience of my friends.
Well, there's like the pictures that you were talking about, and then you get the pictures of like a snake and massive cleavage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does that like frustrate you? Because that's kind of
no, because if that is how like someone chooses to dress and that's the photo that they choose, that's fine. But
if it's just a snake and cleavage, it's like
I don't have room to judge. I think I will keep it very. I will just say that is that I am
understand the mentality.
But I can't tell you the mentality of someone if I haven't spoken with them.
If I post a snake with my cleavage, nobody likes it.
But like, you know,
I think my cleavage is pretty rocking.
All right, post your cleavage.
I'll probably
do it.
get
Heard
flagged
you wouldn't.
and taken down.
Heard you wouldn't. Double dog dare ya.
Phil would like it. Nipper would like it.
I won't lie. Like, I'm about to say some chauvinistic shit. If I see a girl with the big cleavage and the snake, I got to be honest, I'm probably not going to take her seriously.
And I think that's stupid.
Because
I think,
in my chauvinistic mind, I'm programmed that an educated woman isn't going to take these pictures, which I obviously know that's wrong.
That's
and correct, but that's something that I've observed in myself.
And I think it's important to like recognize that's something you observe in yourself, because earlier this year, I don't know if like you guys are following, but there was a very misleading quote unquote scientific article posted about women in medicine, how they shouldn't post pictures of themselves in bathing suits because it lets other people not take them as seriously. Exactly. And it's that mentality that like women can't exist outside, like women can't exist as people like comfortably in their body and in their clothes and still have intelligence in the same regard. And I apologize that I can't give you more sources regarding that, but it was a huge debacle in women in STEM and women in medicine particularly that occurred earlier this year, and is really interesting because
that seems
it's straight up chauvinistic. Yeah, and it was written by it was written by, I think it was like 4 men. Like, of course you're not like that. Once again, it's like you're not getting anywhere near the right content, and it shouldn't matter that I am in a bathing suit versus the fact that I'm in right now like a sweatshirt and jeans. That doesn't change my intelligence. It doesn't change my knowledge on the topic. And like understanding that you, Phil, see that and take her less seriously, like take a step back and ask yourself why. Like, is it because you are assigning like sexuality to her as a person?
No, I think it comes
I think
down
he's just
to
looking at it as like, are you really bringing attention to the snake? Or are you trying to bring attention to yourself, kind of thing?
exactly. It's one of those things where it's like, oh my God, look at my snake. Look how big he's gotten. And literally the snake is 1/16 of the photo. And the rest of the photo is cleavage because the woman who's taking the photo clearly wants us to look at the cleavage, and the snake is a joke, or it's just their way of segueing, or maybe it makes them feel better about taking the cleavage shot. I don't know. But my whole thing is if I see a girl
Trying to understand, Dom.
right, if I see a woman or a girl who has posted a picture of herself with her friends in a bikini on a fucking vacation, then that's great. Good for her. I don't think she's trash for that. She's on vacation. But when I see a girl on Instagram where all of her pictures are debaucherous with reptiles and it happens to say PhD in the top of her profile, I'm not going to take it too seriously. I'm not.
And I think that is your problem.
I know.
I think that's
I find that hot because intelligence is attractive.
And
Right.
I think but I also think that we need to like separate our love of the animals from our attraction to their keepers, because that's kind of like a problem too, is that I should be able to exist in the hobby as a keeper and as a hobbyist outside of the fact that I am a woman and outside of the fact that I'm a young woman who like people might be attracted to. And I think having that conversation and like specifying in your head, and implicit bias is something that everyone has. And you mentioned it about how like you have chauvinistic thoughts that you know aren't necessarily good. So taking a step back and thinking, why do I have this thought? What's the root behind it? And does it really change who this person is?
Dr. Phil yourself.
Right. And that's the difference between me automatically writing her off because of my programming, if you want to call it that, or me actually reading the fine print and seeing that she is a PhD, or seeing that she is not just some, a booth bunny, so to speak, and taking it seriously and then going from there.
But why does she have to have a PhD for you to take her seriously?
She doesn't. I was just using that as an example.
Okay. Yeah. So I think just like understand that's your thought. Okay. But now what do I do about it? Because if you think like off the top of my head, I can name 5 male keepers that most of the pictures I see of them are them shirtless or them in like really low cut, like tank tops and stuff. And
we don't even like those.
Well, but I have never,
we don't even like that.
I have never written that off as someone that I can't take seriously because of what they're wearing. And okay, but we might not be thinking about the same people. So you can like say, but it just depends. So I just think that it should just be something that we keep in mind.
Real cool with that retic with no shirt, bro.
Yeah, Cox.
Yeah, Cox.
No, I completely understand what you're saying, and I agree with you 110%. I'm just saying that I'm trying to dissect why I've felt that way, and I'm trying to dissect why a lot of people still feel that way. Mm-hmm. And it is difficult to turn off a certain opinion when the opinion keeps being perpetuated, or the opinion.
But I also think it's a. Go ahead.
No, I was basically done. What were you saying?
It's an opinion that's outside the hobby. It's not exclusive to women in the hobby. If you saw a Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition and it was all women with PhDs, you would not be thinking about their PhDs or necessarily. So it's just the idea in our head that we have sexualized other people and like put value of like how people look based on their intelligence as well, is where that comes into play in my research. And this is something I've researched and I've looked into. So it's not coming from a place of total ignorance.
No, of course.
Mm-hmm.
See, but I think like I could take it a step further, I guess, because this is just sort of people in general. I just tend to see it more with women in the hobby, is like Instagram especially. When I see more selfies than I do animals, and it's meant to be an animal account, I question if they're posting the animals and like, is it more to show off the animals, or is it more to just get the attention? And this is people too, like guys too. But like a good example I think of someone who's like not like this is like Brittany from Ivory Exotics, who we've talked about on Sticks and Stogies, has like some of the coolest obscure stuff.
Most definitely.
And I have no idea what she looks like.
Not a clue.
And I don't really care, but it's awesome that she has stuff that a lot of guys in the hobby have no idea
and
what it even is.
Yeah, and it goes
from what Billy's told me, she's very knowledgeable about it too. So it's not like she's told by someone, "Oh, these are rare or these are cool. You should get them." She knows what she's looking at.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But I think too, it goes back into our very early discussion we had. Where it's like, you can follow my reptile account for reptiles. You can follow my personal account for pictures of me. So if that's not the kind of account you want to follow, you don't have to follow it. But it doesn't make them lesser in their keeping because of what they choose to post.
It just makes me. It's not even like a lesser or greater than sort of thing. It's more of a like, are you here to show that you have awesome animals, or are you here to just be in the spotlight and get all the comments and get all the likes?
And that's their prerogative. And that's their prerogative. You know, and that doesn't have to be what you necessarily post or you necessarily enjoy, but it doesn't make it any less valuable. Also, it's fucking dumb anyways that we think that there's value in posting things on social media. Like, this is like, that too is like,
that's the
whether
age we're in, though. Yeah,
but whether or not you have a social media doesn't make you like, it doesn't change the kind of animals you keep or like how you keep them and stuff. So this isn't a conversation that would be occurring like 20 years ago.
It's not too far off from like the pet tuber thing though. Like, I know I'm going to get this croc monitor. I know I'm not going to be able to handle it when it gets older, but I'm going to get it because this is totally going to get me so many subscribers, and so much attention.
And that's once again going back into.
But that's anybody. That's not necessarily a male or female thing.
Yes, but that's also following people who have the intelligence and have the knowledge versus following people who are doing it for fame and doing it for attention.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
You know, the whole like just all the, you know, when I see more selfies than I do snakes, I'm kind of like, I'm here for the snakes. Mm-hmm. You know.
Yeah.
But they also have like massive followings in their comment section. Just, oh my god, you're so pretty. Oh my god, you're so hot. And it's like, why? I don't know.
But some people do blend their personal and their reptile pages too.
And I mean, I don't know. That was always something that I never really understood. Is like, what are we here for?
So I have like selfies on my account. Do you think that makes?
It's not every post.
Yeah, but if it was, would you like not take me seriously?
Well, it's not taking somebody seriously.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I said. It's just wondering like, what like are you here for the animals, or are you here for the attention?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's plenty of people that I'm sure are like super knowledgeable. I can't think of any off the top of my head as like a good example. Where they do, I mean, it is, you know, they post a ton of selfies and stuff like that, and they post a ton of, you know, animals and stuff like that. But it's like, I think a lot of them are like free handlers. I think are a prime example of this.
Yeah,
like,
which are people that aren't necessarily
clearly here for the attention.
Yeah, and those are people already who aren't necessarily like. I don't want to say, like, I don't want to generalize too much, but aren't necessarily the best representation of the hobby. But I also think, personally, I post selfies on occasion, probably once a month on my account.
Every once in a while, I post selfies every now and then.
It's also because
it's nothing when that's all I see. When it's supposed to be like a breeder account, or you're saying you're ball python breeder or whatever breeder, chondro breeder, and all I see is you. Mm-hmm. It's like I want to see chondros, man.
Yeah,
like,
and then you got the choice to unfollow.
You're right. I don't disagree.
Just go on an unfollow spree.
Whatever.
I do that every now and then.
You get where I'm coming from, though? Like,
no, I get where you're coming from,
I can't explain it very well.
Yeah, and I think it's also just like how you use your social media and what your expectations of other social medias are, too.
That's just, I mean, I have my personal account, which is a lot of cigars and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I don't know.
Your personal account is like prime for me to make memes out of. Because you do every single one in black and white already.
Yep.
And you know I love that.
It's
ready. And I've tried so hard.
Go nuts.
Yeah.
You do have a very quick turnaround time on that.
Yeah, I'm really bored.
Henry said in defense of Phil, and to cement his point, I can't take Dr. Evan Anton seriously, and for all I know, he may be a good vet. So that's you know who that guy is.
Mm-mm.
He's this guy on Instagram. He's a vet,
mm-hmm.
and of course he got like the lottery as far as genetics.
Mm-hmm.
He's a handsome guy. Like he's a pretty boy.
Yeah.
That sounds weird. That's probably not a good. I don't even know where Phil went.
Yeah. Phil probably got bit and we didn't notice.
I mean, here, I'll find him.
Yeah, find him.
That's a prime example, Henry. Good job. I like that. Henry coming in clutch.
Not the first time. It won't be the last. That's for sure. Man, did Phil die?
He might have.
If he died, he made sure to turn his mute on first.
See? I mean, just like scroll through that.
Yeah, and I think this is also someone who I obviously don't know who this person is, but it's probably someone who built their platform and like recognized that was
He had a lot of viral videos of him. He's out in like LA or something like that. It's a good example, I guess. Like that doesn't necessarily make me take him any less seriously as a vet, and that's just because I don't know how good of a vet he is. Like he could be great at his job, he could be horrible at his job. There's plenty of bad vets, there's plenty of good vets.
Yeah.
And even if it were a woman, same thing. Like there is a girl vet actually that bought I don't know if she bought a chondro from Stiegel.
Mm-hmm. But that's also like
but I don't take her any less seriously as a result.
But it's societal that we like put more like we said, we put emphasis on looks over education or over intelligence, and we think that they are like one over the other. But then also, like Instagram is a platform made to promote good-looking people. Like it is a platform, like social media is a platform of selfishness first and foremost. It's people wanting to show themselves off, and if it's working to help promote their business and help promote who they are as a person, like okay, if that's not how you want to use it, that's up to you.
Let me see. I don't know. She's done a couple pictures with.
Yeah, Cox made a good
stuff.
point. He said, "So what I'm getting at is Justin is taking offense to people who use animals as props, then use the attention that our animals bring in to build their ego, like they are riding our shoulders to build themselves up while not building up others."
That's pretty accurate. Prop is the best word for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was looking for. See, Cox.
He knows. He can read your mind.
It's and that's like the pet tuber thing. Like they could probably hate monitors.
Mm-hmm.
They got a croc monitor that they can't handle because it's just too. It's crazy. It's too much.
Mm-hmm. And I think that once again goes into like someone in the hobby versus someone in the community.
Yeah. Because
I think we've been lucky to build we have a strong friend group. We've got like a solid group of people that we hang out with and talk with. And those wouldn't necessarily be the people that we would associate with on a day-to-day basis, but like they are still in the hobby and they still bring light to people in the hobby. And those people are the people who bring people like me into the hobby who haven't ever had a snake before and are getting into it late, or kids who want to get their first leopard gecko. Like those pet tubers and people who are very showy with their animals and stuff, like they have a very important place in building the foundation of the hobby for a lot of people. So though we don't necessarily agree with it, like it's something important to acknowledge.
It's just my whole gripe with that, is like it can be done without the sensationalism. It can be done without, the I think Barczyk's a good example. Like I will give Barczyk plenty of credit in the terms of like exposing the hobby to people and getting. He's probably brought a ton of people into the hobby that we don't know, or I think even Jake's talked about it. Some of the the early snake bites videos, like he started watching those, and that kind of drew him to snakes more. And so I do give credit where credit is due. It's just like, does it have to be such like a show? Does it have to be so sensationalized? Does it have to be like overly dramatic and exaggerated? And that's kind of where my issue lies. It's like, it's not that extreme. It's not like the whole venomous thing.
But it does if you want to get paid.
Yeah.
If you want to get paid, then your viewers are not the hobbyists or the community. Your viewers are the ones who are literally watching it just to watch you get injured. And you're going to get millions of followers because they want to watch you get hurt. No different than the Jackass series or any of the guys that, they play with lions and everyone's waiting for them to get mauled, and they don't get mauled because they're research biologists, but they know what they're doing. But at the same time, people are watching it because they want to watch the bad. And that's the problem.
It's not far away from sort of what Animal Planet has become of like, I got mauled by an alligator because I decided to go swimming in a pond in the middle of June. And it's now everyone's freaking out because if they see an alligator, they think that it's gonna attack them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's not like
Fear in
that.
the media.
Like
Yeah.
the venomous thing. Like I have the video of the Aatrox showing basically, hey, venom, keeping venomous isn't nearly as exciting and sexy as you guys think it is. Here's 3 minutes of me putting in a bucket, taking it out of the bucket, locking the cage back.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, like if you had seen that on YouTube on any of the other bigger channels, it'd be like, oh, this is a Western Diamondback and it's super dangerous and it's going to do this and that and I'm going to let it roam for 5 minutes before I actually do what I need to do with it and get it all riled up so that you get the reaction and you get the the oohs and ahs, and it's like it's not. I don't.
And that goes back to what we talked about before, where you as the viewer are not seeing all the things that were done before what they showed you.
Mm-hmm.
You just watch, all of you guys who are watching this on video or digital, whatever we want to call it these days. You just watched me take out a cobra.
Okay, boomer.
And it, what's that?
I said, okay, boomer.
Yeah. You just watched me take out a cobra and it did not hood up. And yeah, it was kind of a bummer because we want to see the hood. We want to see the showiness of the cobra. But at the same time, that tells us that the animal is actually quite relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
It's not defensive in any way. I mean, yeah, he didn't like me grabbing his tail, but he's not acting defensively. As far as he knows, he's about to get fed or he's about to get his cage cleaned. So it's not glamorous when you see the realism of it. But all the other people that are bothering the animal and upsetting the animal and getting it and getting it and getting it and getting it, and finally they get the shot they want. Meanwhile, the animal's exhausted because it's been worked for 30, 40 minutes and we didn't see that. So that to me is a whole other level of like, it's fucked up. I don't like it.
And it circles back to the whole like, are you doing this because you actually want to educate people, or are you doing this because it's the shock value?
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And just to go back to women, I'm sure there's a lot of women who happen to be quite attractive and knowledgeable and keep reptiles.
You talking about me?
Absolutely.
Keep going.
And then there's other ones that honestly are just doing it because they know they're pretty and they think that people are going to want to watch them get bit or hoping that they get bit. So they watch more, they click more and whatever else. And those are not the real women of the hobby.
And you can say the same thing about the men.
And you can say the same thing about the men. Agreed.
And Scott said professional behavior around venomous is fucking boring.
Which is true because the first
it is
time
boring. It's not exciting. It's not what people think it is. It's not Steve Irwin. It's not Austin Stevens. It's not this whole like I'm dodging a Bothrops every time I go to work with any venomous animal. And it's like, yeah, there's species that are gonna definitely be a little more lively and you're working with them, but if you do it the way you're supposed to, it's really a non-issue. It's like it's not that extreme.
And I would argue that keeping in general is kind of boring.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
Like
chondros,
people
like chondros are so awesome. Like those are the most boring snakes you'll ever keep.
Yeah, because Scott, I believe it was Scott or it was Nipper, so I apologize. Made a comment earlier about
one's Australian, one's British. Same person.
Okay, made a comment earlier about taking your animals out for pictures and stuff, and it should only be for medical and for cleaning. I would say 98% of the pictures that you see of my animals are because they took a big shit below where they were, and so I pulled them out and I just cleaned them up. And and that's most of what we do as keepers is we take pictures through the glass and we clean up poop, and we refill water bowls and do it again. And so social media has sensationalized every part of life, not just reptile keeping. There's competitive knitting. There's things like that you can do. We had a competitive crafting club. Yeah, it's like you can make anything sensational. You can make anything competitive. It doesn't make it any better, more or less than any other point of doing it.
Scott says Irwin was a wanker.
Makes me sad.
The message was good. The delivery was off.
Correct.
I mean, I still have a framed picture of him in my house, though.
I mean, as a kid, I was like, this is awesome. And then as you get older and you get more into the hobby, you're like, wow.
We talked about this earlier today. We were having this conversation that we should have looked up to Jeff Corwin. He was the real guy who's shown us how to do it, but he was boring.
And Jeff Corwin also turned out to be a lunatic PETA psycho.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can write him off.
Great.
What killed me with Irwin was when you watch it as an adult, you miss all the sound effects.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize as a kid watching Irwin going, oh my God, look at this. This is so amazing. And then, like, clearly,
the little
Death
swipes
Adders,
and punch sounds.
Yeah, Death Adders don't make the whoosh sound. When they you know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, look at this crocodile. It's going to go whoosh. Like, that doesn't happen.
But it's the same conversation we just had where we can be critical of Steve Irwin and of those pet tubers who do very sensational things, but we have to be thankful and like respectful of their part in building the hobby as a whole.
To a degree.
Yeah.
To a degree, we can be critical, but also
I don't give free handlers any credit.
I wouldn't put them as people who are necessarily benefiting the hobby as a whole.
Brad said about 95% of videos are narcissistic and not educational.
Mm-hmm.
And then Cox said there's sensational fish channels on YouTube,
there is.
for God's sakes.
Oh my gosh.
Which is like, really?
I was kicked out of a sensational fish tubers group.
This beta, if I put it facing this other beta, it'll hit the glass until it dies.
Yeah.
What do they mean by sensational fish channel?
Like building a 3,000-gallon aquarium in my basement. That's how all of them talk. So, and then it'll be like killer fish, and it's like 2-inch like red belly.
Oscars.
Usually it's piranhas, and then it's the same people who get. I mean, you see it in reptiles too. It's people who get babies of these predatory fish or something similar, and then they're going to outgrow that tank, and they're not going to show you that part where they have to give the animal away because they can't take it, but they're going to bring you in with the idea of them building this incredible thing.
Yeah, that sucks. I don't watch that stuff, and learning this makes me not want to.
Yeah. And Cox said, I bet Dominique has a framed picture of Jesus next to a crucifix, and then under that it's Irwin. Cox, you've been to my house. You know it's a shrine. It's not just a frame. So
She has a lock of his hair in a vial.
I'm going to be doing, on Halloween with the full moon, I did some spells. We'll see how it
The
goes.
Ouija board.
Yeah.
And a pentagram made of crystals.
No Ouija boards. We talked about this. Mm-hmm.
If Cox said, like, guys getting fish, quote-unquote, stolen that grow too big.
Yeah.
Oh, someone broke in and stole the only Oscar I had.
What a shame.
Didn't take anything else. My
And you
goldfish
see
is gone.
with a lot of these people, too.
My koi.
You see with a lot of these people, too. It seems like the most watched videos they have are their videos of failures of the animals that died or the
I think that's a
ecosystems
social media thing too.
and the ecosystems that broke down because they didn't do proper planning and they don't actually know what they're talking about. And it has nothing to do with their looks. It has to do with the fact that they are just trying to get attention.
I can keep an elephant in my closet, but at the end of the day, it's still an elephant.
Yeah.
See you later, Scott.
It's nice speaking with you.
Bye.
Bye.
It's one thing to tell everyone, here's the mistakes I made, here's how you can avoid it. It's another thing to be like, I failed, and be like 5 minutes of, this is what happened, and it's like, well, I got another one. And it's, to fix that, I just bought a second.
And I think that's something, I mean, I work very hard not to come across as someone who absolutely knows everything they're talking about because I don't think I do. And I think that's something that also maybe is just something as a woman in the hobby. I struggled a lot with making the decision to make a Facebook account that was specific to my animals or making an Instagram specific to my animals, which because I didn't want to make it come across as attention seeking or like I'm holier than thou in any way. So I'm pretty open with my failures on my animals, and like one of my most watched videos is 30 minutes of me peeling snake skin because one of my animals got stuck shed. And that is obviously not what I want to be known for, but it's also something that I'm open with the fact that I've messed up. And I think we all need to be willing to take advice and admit when we've messed up. But also, I didn't mess up, get rid of the animal, and buy a new one to replace it because I didn't want anyone to know that that's what was going on. Which I think is seen often on those people with sensational YouTube channels or other accounts similarly.
There was a point in time when I was like in high school in the hobby where I like I would never want to admit that I didn't like getting bit, and I wasn't one of those guys that could just go and grab anything and get lit up and not care.
Right.
And I don't know why, because looking back on it, I'm like, who cares? Because now I'm like, I still hate getting bit. I don't like getting bit.
Who likes getting bit?
It sucks.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it was like admitting that you're kind of a bitch when it comes to getting bit, which I am. It was like, I don't want anybody to know, you know. Because I had a video of me talking about this. I don't know how long ago this was, but it's my old YouTube channel. I'll have to find it and send you the link because it's pretty dumb. But I got bit by one of the Amazons when I was doing a video. It was one of the super calm ones that I never had any issues with, and it just randomly just grabbed me, and I dropped it. And I got really self-conscious, and I like deleted the video.
Because you didn't want people to see that you like dropped it?
Yeah.
I got bit by a baby berm on the finger, and I whipped my hand back, and that baby berm flew all the way across the garage and hit the garage door and was stunned. And I felt horrible, but at the same time, I didn't feel like
a natural reaction.
That's a natural reaction.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're 18, you know, you're still learning, you know, what's what. And yeah, I also think that a lot of us now, because of the social media, are apprehensive to show our faults because the viewers that we want to see it to help them out for the future, to not let them make our mistakes. That's a small percentage, and the rest of it's going to be the trolls.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And I think I respect people more who are willing to talk to me about, you don't have to post it, but if you're willing to tell me about something that messed up and like help me with that, like I respect you more, and I feel more comfortable. Yeah, but I feel
there's a very big difference in constructive criticism and just being an ass.
Yeah, and I'm like more comfortable talking to someone if I like Andy Middleton's a really good example of that. Like Andy's a good friend of mine, and I'm very grateful to know him in the hobby. He's one of my go-tos when I'm struggling with an animal, and he will give me advice based on people who've known who have had similar issues or his own issues himself. And he's like willing to share that with me, which always makes me feel like Andy's not going to judge me if I did something stupid. Like I had a green tree regurgitate a couple weeks ago, and it was because I didn't wait long enough to mess with them again. And I know that, and I got cocky with my animal, and the animal suffered because of it. And to like talk with Andy and be like, hey, like help me troubleshoot this, or even talk with you, Justin, or Phil, and like you guys are like, yeah, we've had that happen before. It makes me feel like I'm a fucking idiot. It makes me feel like less dumb and more supported in the hobby too.
I don't think it's as scrutinized as it used to be.
I think it depends on the mistake.
I think it depends on the platform that you're sharing.
Maybe it's because I don't care. Like I've done a lot. I've screwed up a lot. But especially with green trees, though, like if I kill a green tree because of something stupid I've done, that's probably an easy mistake someone else could make. I'm gonna let it be known. Mm. You know, like I want somebody. It's too late for me, but you can still save yourself, kind of thing. Like learn from my fuck up. Yeah,
and I think it's having the confidence in your keeping too. I am confident that I am doing the best at keeping that I can be because I've had the support and like learned from that, and so. I shared this on a couple groups last year. I had a green tree get caught behind the radiant heat panel.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And I had to use a power drill to unscrew the whole thing and get them out. And I was terrified. And it was something that I was like really back and forth about posting about. But I was like, okay, well, if someone else has this heat panel and they don't know that there's this gap and their animal suffers because I was too proud to tell someone else about it, that's kind of on me. So I took a step back and, you know, let my pride kind of take a hit in that regard. You know, then that's okay. But if I act as if I've never done anything to mess up my animals or done anything that could harm my animals because I want to be seen in a specific light, I think that looks worse on me as a person than it does that I made a mistake and owned up to it.
Oh, we're also, because of the internet, like no one's in any position to like judge somebody else because of a mistake. You know, like you talk to, and especially chondros come to mind because I mean, I've killed my fair share of chondros, be it, reasons of my own or because of something else, but like, no, if someone piped up and was like, "Oh, you're an idiot for letting that happen," it's like, "Oh, okay, you've never accidentally done something, like you've never screwed up with a snake and like maybe accidentally bumped your thermostat, because if you're using like the hobby stats with the knobs, like you've never bumped that and didn't notice you bumped it, you're an idiot."
It's like, congratulations,
like, you
haven't
these things
yet.
Right.
It's the yet. It's you haven't done that yet.
And so it's just, that's kind of the thing that I see. I have seen that a little bit on Facebook groups and stuff like that. Is like someone makes a simple mistake and they're like, "You're an idiot for doing that," and it's like anybody could have done that. You know, if someone who's been in the hobby for 40 years makes some stupid mistake, kill something, it happens. Like if you're in this hobby long enough, you're gonna lose animals, be it something you can control or something you can't.
Yeah. I'm nervous. I know. I lost a leopard gecko when I was younger, and that was my first real herp. But I was 10 and I had it for like 2 months. But I know I'm gonna be crushed when I lose my first animal for real, because it does go back to the pride thing and like doing your best by the animal. But it's gonna happen.
I also think it's amazing how we live in a time where so many more people are sharing our same tastes and our same interests, but they're still apprehensive to share their knowledge. And that's something I learned really bad with knobtails, is that nobody wanted to tell me how to keep things alive. And it wasn't like those guys that call up Eric Burke and say, "Hey, can you give me the recipe in one paragraph on how to breed carpet pythons?" It wasn't like that. I get that. You want them to do their own homework the same way that you did yours. But like the apprehensiveness or the legit lack of sharing of knowledge with knobtails is what drove me so much to learn as much as I could. And I've lost a lot of knobtails. I've lost a lot of money, and I've learned from all of them. And I think I've got it pretty dialed in now, but I guarantee you, on any of the podcasts I've been on, whether it be our stuff or, with Joe or, Eric Owen or whomever, I guarantee you there's somebody on there reading it or listening to it going, "This guy doesn't know what he's talking about." I'm sure they've commented on it, and I don't really care, because they never owned up to help me, or vice versa. They never asked me for help. So it's really frustrating.
I think too, it's like, okay, I don't know what I'm talking about. Teach me.
Yeah.
Teach me what you know that I don't.
Yeah.
And don't keep it to yourself and gatekeep the community as a whole. Because at the end of the day, we should all be focused on the welfare and love of the animals. And if you know something I don't that is going to give my animal a better life, tell me. I want to know how I can make sure that the animal that I have chosen to keep in captivity is going to thrive.
Yeah.
Even if that's keeping it in a black tub in my closet where I can never see it again, that's fine. But I want to know that I am doing the best I possibly can for the animal I have.
Yeah, I agree.
And that ties right into the whole like naturalistic versus simple setups thing, and people telling you how you should or shouldn't keep things. And it's like, if it works, it works. We don't know how these animals feel or think.
And maybe we will one day.
Maybe we will.
And they're going to look at us and be like,
then,
paper towels.
My chondros don't seem to give a shit.
They take
shots. Or they're going to look at us and we'll have the translator translate your pet's thoughts. And it's going to be like, "Dude, you switched from Bounty to, no-name brand paper towels? What the hell, bro? I was digging the Bounty." You never know.
What's this generic bullshit?
Yeah, what's this recycled paper?
I just hope they never really let them get too much of a thought, because I don't want them to judge me.
You don't like
my animals be like, "Oh, that ugly bitch."
What?
You don't
What'd you say?
Jazz?
I didn't hear you.
I was saying, you don't like the snake jazz?
The what?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you guys don't watch Rick and Morty?
No.
Oh, there's a whole planet of snake people, but they're like in the 1950s, and they're listening to snake jazz. It's amazing. You have to watch it.
All right, send me a link.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. If anybody tells me that I'm an idiot for screwing up, I'm just going to laugh and tell them to go fuck themselves. Because it's like, give me a break. Like, you cannot tell me that if you've been in this hobby for any number of years that you haven't screwed up.
Yeah.
And whether your snake lived or not, that's one thing. But you still, like, a mistake is a mistake.
And it's so interesting to me to see, like, I don't know if it's because people are just less removed. But like, I don't know any other hobby where people are so willing to be aggressive and then also just like gatekeeping, like we said, like trying to keep the knowledge to themselves. Like, I can't, going back to like crafting and stuff. Like if you have a question about cross stitch, no one's gonna be like, I can't tell you what kind of needle I use. It's you'll learn when you mess up and make a hole. Like shut up. Like that's just, there's something about like keeping reptiles that's so inherently prideful that I hope we can grow out of.
It's just like learning to ride a bike. You have to fall off of it a few times before you learn how to really master it.
Yeah. And it's
and
gonna
Phil
hurt.
fell off his bike a lot. I bet.
Jeez. Phil still has training wheels, basically.
You're right. You're right.
I don't. Apparently, I mean, according to like Scott was saying a couple episodes back on Snakes and Stogies, like apparently the whole gatekeeping and hush hush information, like trade secret thing, is way worse in Australia than it is here.
I can only imagine.
Which is, I mean, I feel like the hobby here in the States is pretty open when it comes to that. But I mean, granted, that's like chondro guys usually seem to be pretty open. I could see like maybe ball pythons and like certain genes or something like that, kind of keeping things under wraps.
Ball
like,
pythons and their genes. People,
I don't know, retics.
Like,
I don't see
insane.
it, but I don't deny that it's there.
Yeah. Well, I also think it's just there's not. Okay, I don't want to say they're new, but green trees are still in the beginning phase of being really integrated into the hobby, right? Like you see in Europe, there are like there's specific lines, and there are a couple like albinos. Once we get a pied green tree, world's gonna explode. That'll be the second coming. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
It'll be $50,000.
I don't think they'll ever get to the level of any of the really popular species, just because they are like breeding them and stuff and babies. It's like if you're a glutton for punishment, then sure, but like getting babies going and stuff, I think that's going to drive so many people away from them ever really taking off and getting popular.
It's all about the money.
If you're in it for the money, you're in the wrong hobby.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That is what gets the exposure, is the money. Yeah. Oh, it's rare. I want it. We've talked about this 1,000 times. Do you want it because it's amazing, or do you want it because it's expensive?
Yep.
And I think that, you just said, a piebald green tree python is going to be, $300,000. What makes you think that they haven't already done it?
I don't know. I feel like it'd be ugly.
I feel like what makes you think that they haven't already done it, and they realized that for whatever reason they didn't want it to get out and they kept it a secret? Who knows? We'll never know.
Frankly, I don't even find the albino chondros to be anything all that life-changing.
No.
Spectacular. It looks like a yellow Kofi owl.
I was going to say, I like the normal Kofi owl better.
And I feel like even Kofi owls are kind of overrated. It's like, okay, it's just a yellow chondro. You want a yellow chondro, get a high yellow Biak or something.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
But it's also preference.
Yeah.
We talked about how we like green snakes. I just like green snakes. So I always want green animals.
It's just the albinos. It's like it's a yellow chondro. Everyone wants them, and I think that's a prime example of it's the rarity factor. I'm not knocking Marshall Mendez or any of the guys working with the albino stuff. It's just like everybody wants it because there's so few
to say they have it.
People want to be the guy that produces more of them, and it's not like because, like I said, they really don't. They're not anything that wonderful.
Well,
typically.
This is like a little bit. I don't want to say it's a stretch, but I was listening to a podcast. It was obviously not snake related, but it talked about how a lot of designer brands for like clothing or bags and stuff will give out limited edition items to like influencers and then list them on their website as sold out. Okay, so the only people who have these are those influencers, and now everyone wants one, when in reality it's probably nothing better.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to knock the people who have put
they do it in cigars
effort and years of experience into getting these animals, because that is like part of it, and like you got to give them credit where credit's due, but it just might not be for everyone.
They do it in cigars all the time. You know, we only made 500 boxes of these, and they're made for this one retailer. It's like, why are you even telling us about it then?
Yeah.
Like, why? You know your inbox is gonna blow with guys who are like, "Hey man, how do I get these?" And they're gonna be like, "Fuck you." You know.
That's what they want. They want the exposure.
Right.
They want the clicks. They want the
hype.
likes. Yeah. How many times have they said, "Oh, this is a limited edition cigar, and there's only 1,000 made," and then you do the math in your mind about how many stores are repping it, and that's clearly 3,000 or 4,000 cigars.
Yep.
So it's all sales shit.
Which, I mean, that's not a lot of cigars in the grand scheme of things.
Right, but
like we have the Steve Saka, the Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust unicorns. So they only made 1,000 of them. They're $100 a piece.
While you talk cigars, I'm gonna go pee.
Okay, $100 a piece. And the Saka stuff is starting to kind of come around for me. Like I'm starting to sort of enjoy it a little more. But
right.
I have a feeling if I spend $100 on that, don't die.
I just kicked everything in the garage. Oh yeah.
If I spend $100 on that, I feel like I'm probably going to be pretty disappointed.
I would never spend $100 on that.
I mean, I would out of curiosity. Like if I had $100 just floating around, and be like, yeah, I'll try one. But
think about how much other cool stuff you do with that $100. Not for me. Now, if you told me, "Hey Phil, you have the option of buying a King Louis for $100," I would, in a New York minute, buy a King Louis for $100. And then I would really wonder if it was worth it.
But I feel like that cigar in particular, I feel like they're totally targeting those cigar snobs that'll smoke it just to say they smoked it.
Yeah, yes, true.
Because I guess that somehow impresses people.
I mean, dude, that's why I would buy the King Louis for $100 because I could say, yeah, I smoked one, wasn't anything special, and be that fucking douche, you know.
It's interesting, but then it's funny is with the snake hobby. Like you think about rough scale pythons and rhino rats and stuff that used to be like nobody had it, and it was such a thing. And then they started more people started breeding them, and they started kind of getting out more, and everyone was kind of like, meh, they're cool. But before, like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, they were like, dude, that's like the holy grail. Oh my god.
Well, Marcus breaks my balls all the time because Marcus got on a roughy kick. And he's like, dude, I really think I should get these rough scales. And I was like, meh, they're brown, whatever.
I mean, they are cool. I want some, but it's like, dude, I got to get my hands on them right now.
And I talked him into doing Brettles, and he did. He got a couple Brettles, but the more I hung out with you guys, the more Morelia I got, the more I'm like, oh my God, I need rough scales. And Marcus is like, you suck. We could have had them already. I was going to buy them. You're out. So that's how it goes, man.
And that just makes you wonder how much that rarity factor plays into the people's desire for them.
Well, for me, it came down to it being a red chondro with blue eyes.
A rock chondro.
A red chondro with blue eyes with the head of a carpet, and that was cool. The blue eyes really did it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But if they were $100 or they were $5,000, I still would feel the exact same way about them.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm laughing because Ryan Cox just texted me that he got in trouble with Facebook. He got reported as writing an extremely violent threat because apparently at some point in the chat he said he was going to stab you with a turkey baster.
Oh, yeah, he did say he was going to stab me with a turkey baster.
So I think he got kicked off the chat.
Wait, what happened?
And Cox just texted us that he made a comment saying he was going to stab Justin with the turkey baster on Facebook in the chat.
He got zucked.
And he got zucked as giving an extremely violent threat.
Mother sucker.
Wow. Wow.
Which is excellent.
Good old nanny state.
My gosh.
Freedom of speech my ass.
You don't get freedom of speech on private platforms. It's in the terms and conditions.
And Bill said unless you're neck deep in Morelia, something like Roughies is only the rarity factor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can get you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you look at ball pythons. Most new ball python species, actually not species, Jesus Christ. Most new ball python morphs just look like messed up normals, in my opinion. And they're
yellow
going
bellies,
to.
I will never understand the yellow belly thing.
There's
like,
one.
That's a normal, bro.
I mean, I can look at them every single day, and I just.
It doesn't even have that yellow of a belly. I don't understand.
If it's a different color than a normal, great. If it is some obscure new morph that are almost the exact same as a normal, but maybe the head stamp is slightly different, I'm never going to be able to tell you the difference. And you can't ask me to pay $10,000 for that.
I think it's the same hype as the locality thing.
Yeah.
Like, people take it to extremes, where they're like, this alternative is from this one rock cut, this far away from this county, and it's like there's only 2 of them in the hobby, and it looks like pretty much any other gray band. And I'm like, that holds no weight for me. But I just see chondros too. You see those rare chondro, like the Waegos and stuff like that, or Waegos. You don't see those very often, or the Numphors. Numphors just look like a very just green Biak. Like, they don't really, like, I got a Numphor. It's like, what does it look like?
But also,
like,
at this point, how do we know? How do you know that's what you have?
That's my biggest argument with that, too, is, like, how many people, like, how many hands has this changed? How many people have had this animal?
Yeah.
Even just from the time of, like, importation, like capture importation, and then someone buys it, and then someone else buys it from that person, and then you get it from that person. It's like, there's a lot of hands that animal's gone through. So that's why I always, like with locality green trees especially, I take all of them kind of with a at least a smidge of skepticism as to how accurate the locality is. And, even people that are like pure Biak.
Unless you buy it at Petco, then it's a Biak.
Yeah, I just...
Most of the time.
The purity thing, it's like, yeah, okay, it looks like a Biak. It has the very stereotypical Biak phenotype and appearance. And it's like, yeah, it may be pure because that's an island locality, sure, but it's like you also don't know if at some point down the line, if this was brought in or captive bred, if it was crossed at a farm with something else. Like, there's just, unless you go and get it yourself, I think there should always be a degree of skepticism with any chondro localities. Because, you also have, like, Manoquaris, which there's a handful of different looks to Manoquaris. There's a couple different kinds that if you saw them, you'd be like, that looks just like a Cyclops mountain. And it's like, well, those are kind of the same. It's all marketing, trying to get more money out of the deal.
And that's perpetuated by an influx of social media users and Instagram accounts and all of that.
Yeah, Brad said it. Unless you caught it yourself and can document, you don't know. Dom has to go.
I have to go. My mom is here. My ride is here because we have to drive back to Ohio tomorrow morning.
Gross.
I know. I'll be down here eventually. I'll make my way south one day. Yeah. So thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to speak with you guys and record it.
Where do people follow you?
Oh, you can find me on Facebook at Difalco Reptiles and then on Instagram at Difalco Reptiles. If you are interested in joining our women's group, it is Female Herpers and Reptile Keepers. And if you can't find it, feel free to shoot me a message and I'll direct you in the right way.
Hey.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. We will see y'all later.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Get this